Okay, good morning and welcome to our 3-4 Solving Multi-Step Inequalities lesson. Today we are going to not only learn how to solve multi-step inequalities, but we're going to look at some of the ones that might have no solution or infinitely many solutions. Okay, to start off, we have just solving an inequality that has more than one step. So we've got 9 plus 4t is greater than 21, and we want to solve that. So I'm just going to write it a little bit larger here so we can see. So 9 plus 4t is greater than 21. So this is just like solving an equation where you want to undo PEMDAS. Just remember that in the end, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, we want to flip that inequality to be the other way. So we're going to start with the 9, undoing that. So we're going to subtract 9 here and subtract 9 from the other side to keep it balanced. So now we've got 4t, 4, I made a little tail on my 4 there. 4t is greater than 12. And then that means 4 times t, so we're going to undo the times by dividing by 4 here. And since we're dividing by a positive 4, we're going to keep our inequality in the same direction. So our answer is t is greater than 3. Perfect. Okay. And we're moving right on to a story problem in problem 2. So that requires a multi-step inequality. It's a little bit difficult to see, but the measurement here is 12 feet. So it says, in a community garden, you want a fence in your vegetable garden that is adjacent to your friend's garden. So here's your friend's garden. Here's your garden right next to it. You have at most 42 feet of fence. What are the possible lengths of your garden? Well, it tells you that this going, the width of it here is 12. I know it's hard to see that, but maybe I can do it in red here. It's still hard to see. Okay, so the width is 12 feet, which means the other side is 12 feet. So we know for sure that 24 feet of this is going to be used up by this side here and this side here. What we don't know is how far we can go this way. But we do know that's going to be the same. So we can give that a value of x right now. So 24 plus 2 of our x's. And then we know at most we're going to have 42 feet. So we cannot go over that amount, but it can be equal to it or less than that. So this is the inequality we would be solving. So we're going to undo our PEMDAS here. So we're going to start with that 24. We're going to subtract 24 here, keep it balanced, and subtract it over here. So then we end up getting 2x is less than or equal to 42 minus 24 gives us 18. And again, we're going to divide to undo that 2, and we're dividing by a positive 2. So we don't have to worry about flipping that inequality. X is less than or equal to 9. So at most, what are the possible lengths of our garden? Anything 9 feet or less, right? So that's our answer. All right, problem 3 is a multiple choice situation. You might see this on the SAT. What we have here is some parentheses. So again, just like an equation, we want to distribute. So if we distribute that 3 to the t, we get 3t. And we distribute the 3 to the positive 1, so we say plus 3 here. Minus 4t is greater than or equal to negative 5. And then we look at it and go, okay, we've got some like terms of 3t minus 4t. That gives us negative 1t. Bring down our plus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 5. And then we have our two-step equation. We're going to undo that positive 3 by subtracting 3 here, subtracting it on the other side. Then we have negative 1t that comes down here is greater than or equal to negative 5 minus 3 does give us negative 8. And now we are going to end up dividing by a negative 1. So since we're dividing by a negative, we want to flip that inequality so that t is less than or equal to positive 8, because a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive. And now our choice is less than or equal to. So it's got to be less than 8 or equal to 8, leaving us with the only choice of A. 8 would be a possible answer. Okay, let's flip over to our next side. Those are all Pretty straightforward. This one is, again, similar to solving regular equations, but what happens when we have a variable on both sides? We need to cancel one out. Doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start with the 3n. So the 3n on this side, I'm going to cancel that by subtracting 3n, and I'm going to subtract 3n then from the 6n. So 6n minus 3n gives me 3n. Bring down minus 1 is greater than 8. And then I have a two-step equation, so I'm going to undo that minus 1 by adding it to both sides. So now I have 3n is greater than 9. No negative here, so I'm going to divide by that positive 3 and not worry about flipping that inequality. So n is greater than 3, and that's my final answer. Okay, last but not least, this is the most challenging part of solving multi-step inequalities for most students in my experience. So solving inequalities with special solutions, specifically, we're going to look at what happens when we get infinite solutions or no solution. So let's take a look. What are the solutions of 10 minus 8a is greater than or equal to 2 times the quantity 5 minus 4a. Okay, so let's start it out as normal. We're going to distribute to get rid of those parentheses. So 2 times 5 gives us 10, and then 2 times negative 4a is going to give us minus 8a on this side. And then we're going to bring down the rest of it so that we have our 10 minus 8a on this side, and then it says is greater than or equal to 10 minus 8a. Okay, notice you have the same thing on both sides already. So we're saying that this quantity, no matter what a is either going to be greater than the same quantity, no matter what a is, or equal to it. So because there's an or equal to, and we have the same thing on both sides, we know this is always going to work. This is going to be infinite solutions. Now, if you still weren't sure, you could cancel out one of the variables or one of the constants here. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out the variable. I'm going to add 8a here, which means I would add 8a over here. So that leaves me with 10 on this side, because that's 0, is greater than or equal to 10. Now, 10 is equal to 10. So automatically, this is always going to work. So the answer to this is infinite solutions. Sometimes they would say all real numbers here as well, okay? If this had been 10 is greater than 10 at the end that didn't have the or equal to, then it would have been no solution. So there's a fine line between an infinite and a no solution sometimes. Okay, let's look at this one. The next one says, 6m minus 5 is greater than 7m plus 7 minus m. Okay, remember there's a hidden one here on this m. Okay, so let's combine like terms. So 7m minus 1m on this side is going to give me 6m. Bring down that plus 7. Bring down our inequality, and then let's bring down this side, 6m minus 5. Okay, so now you can see we have the same 6m on either side of our inequality, but this is different, minus 5 and plus 7. So let's keep solving and see what happens. Let's subtract 6m from this side and subtract 6m from this side. Okay, so this would give me 0, leaving me with negative 5 is greater than 7. Okay, and that is untrue. Negative 5 is never greater than 7. So our answer to this one is no solution. Had we canceled out any of the constants, we would still end up with a situation where we get an untrue value. And so this is going to be no solution. Okay, hopefully we find this helpful. If you need extra assistance, please come see me or email me, and I'll help you as best with that I can. Have a great day.